T plus 0 o'clock 5 mg 5 MAU DPT 4 injection T plus 1 o'clock 5 mg 5 MAU DPT 4 injection T plus 8 o'clock alcohol, beer, marijuana was used several times throughout the session. Let me start off by saying that after experimenting with Foxy at widely varying doses and routes of administration, this is by far the best method. I was rather unimpressed with this substance in my previous trials, mainly because of the uncomfortable come-up and less than mind-blowing peak combined with the body load. I have had a long relationship with psychedelics including LSD, DMT, MDMA, psilocybin, 2CB, 2CE, 2CI, 2CT2, 5-MeO DMT, DPT, methylone, DXM, ketamine, MDA, mescaline, and salvia divinorum. Throughout all my experiments, I had never injected a psychedelic and the idea intrigued me. I could find only one report on Erowid about 4-Foxy, so I decided to give it a shot, pardon the pun. I had my Foxy weighed out into 10 mg gel caps, so I poured one out and divided the powder into 2 equal 5 mg piles. I had a friend present who gave me the injection. He placed the 5 mg dose in a spoon and it readily dissolved in a small amount of water with a bit of stirring. He drew the liquid up into the syringe using a small wet cotton ball as a filter. Set and setting, my house, with my wife, my brother, and a trusted friend. It was late at night and I was rather tired physically. I was on the verge of sleep when my brother and friend showed up with the needles. Other than that I was feeling fine. We had trippy lighting in the house, clean comfortable living room, gigantic music collection, and everything else we needed. T plus 0:00, injection given. I immediately feel a warm, speedy rush, with color enhancement. I hear a rushing sound, like wind blowing through my head. I feel a little detached from my companions at first. T plus 0:30, I'm sitting at the dining room table with my brother, sharing a bowl of marijuana with him. The sense of detachment is gone, and I am connecting with everyone, especially my brother. We are in a very involved conversation. I am definitely tripping. The music is very intense, and I have minor closed-eye visuals of paisley-type patterns in violet, aquamarine, and yellow. It would have taken 2 or 3 hours to reach this point with an oral dose of Foxy, and it would have taken 15 mg as opposed to 5. I had none of the anxiety and confusion I normally get on the come-up. I was peaking 5 minutes after the injection, with a very warm, pleasant rush leading up to it. I was totally free of body load, I just felt a warm buzzing all over my body. My brother and I were discussing the spiritual and philosophical insights we have had on other psychedelics like DMT and DPT. I noticed that if I closed my eyes and imagined smoking DMT I started to feel the beginnings of a DMT flash. I was able to slip into a trance by doing this, although I was not able to leave my body or dissolve my ego entirely. T plus 1:00, I am feeling good, visuals are minor but enjoyable. I'm clear-headed and open to communication, but I notice that I have some difficulty forming my thoughts into words. Not a problem though, I'm just a little slowed down when speaking. I realize I'm not going any higher, and decide to take another 5 mg injection. My friend again prepares my shot and injects me. I immediately feel a very intense rush, and open-eye visuals become very defined and mushroom-like for about an hour. I also feel a bit lethargic, which I also associate with mushrooms. I felt very relaxed and spacey, but not cloudy or confused. No anxiety whatsoever. I felt like laying around and listening to the music, I didn't feel like talking. T plus 3:00, the intensity has leveled off, and I have rejoined the group. I no longer have trouble with communication. The music sounds spectacular. Subtle visuals, dramatic color enhancement, and strong empathogenic connection to everyone present. Very enjoyable. This is the first time I have really had a good time on Foxy. We smoke more marijuana and this intensifies the visuals and spaciness. T plus 6:00, my brother and friend leave for the night, and I am finally alone with my beautiful wife. She is a very sensual person, and when I look at her I can feel this intense sexual energy bubbling up inside me. Her face was bathed in color and she seemed to shimmer with thousands of points of light. She looked like an archetype of femininity, the very embodiment of beauty. I had to have her. I lured her into the bedroom and we spent a great deal of time just caressing each other's bodies lightly with the fingertips, and because of the intense body buzzing caused by the Foxy, this was an amazing sensation. It felt like her fingertips were electrically charged, and when they ran across my skin it felt like a million fingers massaging my entire body. When we finally made love it was so explosive. A very primal feeling, but also very sensual and loving. It was a great emotional release. When I approached climax, I closed my eyes and noticed an amazing swirling vortex of every imaginable color, pulsating in rhythm with our love-making. When I finally did climax, it was like that sexual energy that began bubbling up earlier just exploded out from every pore of my body. I saw this happening behind closed eyelids. I saw this energy envelop my wife and I, our bodies melt together, and swirl into the vortex I described earlier. We became one mind and then we dissolved as one into the spiral. This was all during the climax, which seemed to last several minutes. After it was over, around T+7:30, I noticed I wasn't really tripping anymore, just stimulated. It was odd because I was having some intense visions and dissociation during sex, and now, 5 minutes later, I'm not even tripping. My theory is that the visions were not caused by the Foxy itself but by the intense sexual experience the Foxy allowed me to have. Possibly the climax triggered a release of endogenous DMT in my brain. I am prone to spontaneous psychedelic states without using any drugs anyway, so this is a reasonable conclusion. Or possibly the Foxy only expresses itself in this way during sex. Maybe I'm schizophrenic. Who knows? T+8:00. My wife and I smoke some marijuana and drink a few beers. I'm wishing I had some Xanax so I could sleep. By this point I am exhausted, no longer tripping, but unable to sleep. The pot and beer help a bit, and we go lay down together. My wife's body feels wonderful in my arms, and as I relax, I start seeing more closed-eye visuals and hearing music in my head. Nothing I have heard before, totally new and original, and from my own mind. This happens often when I lay down to sleep, but it was so much clearer and more complex this time. If only I had the skills to play and record this music in my head I could be famous, I think to myself. After maybe 2 hours of lying in bed and enjoying the display my senses are putting on, I drift off to sleep. In conclusion, 4 is the only way to do Foxy in my opinion. I plan to do the rest of my Foxy this way, because the dosage is lower and the effects are much more enjoyable. Many people experience severe nausea or vomiting with oral or nasal doses of Foxy, and it ruins the experience for them. I believe this eliminates that problem. I experienced all the positive points of Foxy to a greater extent than ever before, and none of the negative effects. I highly recommend this method for those of you that aren't too squeamish about needles. I am excited about my next run with 4 Foxy. I think I'll try 10 mg in a single injection. But until then,